Hi, welcome to I Love the Library. My name is Deb, and you can usually find me at the reference desk. Today, I'm going to talk about what Deb is reading. One interesting book I found is called Grave Matters, A Journey Through the Modern Funeral Home Industry to a Natural Way of Burial by Mark Harris. Though the topic may be somewhat uncomfortable, I found it just really fascinating and certainly something to consider if you're looking at end-of-life issues. One interesting fact I found, and I'm going to read a little bit of this for you, is the history of the embalming in the U.S. really came into its own after the Civil War, or during the Civil War, when Northern soldiers who died on Southern battlefields, their families wanted them transported home for burial. And so embalming, the ancient art of embalming became more important. The death of Abraham Lincoln, and he was embalmed, his trip from the White House to Springfield, Illinois, his death train journey, if you will, was 2 weeks long, and so of course he had to be embalmed. There were numerous stops at a dozen cities, and people were just really impressed with how peaceful and natural looking he was. So at that point, embalming really came into its own. Harris presents other alternatives to the cost of this, to a standard funeral. Standard funeral nowadays runs around $10,000. Some of his alternatives include cremation, burial at sea, the memorial reef, where a person's ashes are mixed in with a slurry of concrete and then put in the sea and serve as a home for ocean life. Sounds really interesting to me. A home funeral where relatives or friends will help lay out the body. The book talks a little bit like about a death midwife. So there's family members that are educated in the care of preparing a body at death, and then the laying out, etc., is in the home. Other options, for instance, a plain pine box versus the brass or expensive wood casket. Backyard burial or burial in a natural cemetery where the body is indeed just like left in wrappings and goes back to nature. And then the remains help provide nutrients for the wildlife in the area. So if you're interested in looking at something like this, Grave Matters, A Journey Through the Modern Funeral Home Industry to a Natural Way of Burial. On a lighter tone, I read The Modern Dog. This is by Stanley Coren. And he talks about, it's a fun book about how dogs evolved and the importance they have had in the development of man. He tells an interesting story about a Cairn Terrier he had. His wife thought he needed a dog, but little did she know this dog would be the bane of her existence. It was constantly barking. It was driving her crazy. One thing she did enjoy about the dog is that it was a mouse catcher until the day that this dog, Flint, brought a dead mouse and laid it on her chest in the morning. To her surprise, it was a quick wake-up call. The Modern Dog by Stanley Coren. Other books I'm reading, all 3 Star Wars movies, the original 3, are in one book for you called Star Wars Trilogy. Another popular author that I've been reading is Karen Kingsbury, and this one is Every Now and Then. It's a story of young LA K-9 police officer who never got over the death of his firefighter father in the Twin Towers collapse. And finally, one that I frequently go back to, especially at the beginning of the year with New Year's resolutions, is Mayo Clinic Plan, 10 Essential Steps to a Better Body and a Healthier Life. Thanks. See you at the library.